Hello, it's Nancy welcoming you to Gardens Grove. Look what I noticed. We're going to get to see another hibiscus bloom. I don't know what color it is, but we'll see it before too long. And I noticed that there's also little buds on this one right here. So I'm going to be like Jimmy Dean and say, I wish you could see this beautiful fall day. And I wish we could have many more of them before frost comes, but I kind of doubt that that's going to actually be the case. I noticed when I did that, remember this little clipping that I rooted and stuck back in there? Look how it's picking itself up. It does still look pathetic, granted, but it's not laying over. It's picking itself up. It has a root. And even after the top part freezes, and actually this is an annual, but on the perennials, their root will keep going and growing, and this one will keep growing too, because I'll take this one inside and hope that it keeps growing, because you know I don't do houseplants well. I try to take them to Clifton and Rosie so that they can keep them, and I wouldn't take them back once I give them to them, but I would go back and say, can I have a little start from that? But and they will take mercy on me because they love me. I did get to take the Swedish ivy to Rosie, and I also got to take my little bushes or trees to my niece Lacey. So I've been busy. Here's some of that Swedish ivy like I took her. It just grows so well for me out in the garden, but it's not winter hardy, so I bring it in, and then you know, it's just iffy whether or not I get to bring it back out alive or not, but it's always worth a try, and I am getting better. I am getting better at it, thank the Lord. And today we're going to have a friend that we often have breakfast with. He's a retired minister of the Church of the Nazarene, and we enjoy him, and he's going to come out and see the garden today. What a perfect day for him to see it. We had one other day planned and it didn't work out, and I'm so glad it didn't, because it was still warm out in the garden and he wouldn't have enjoyed it as much. There's only so much you can enjoy with sweat dripping everywhere. And oh yes, that reminds me that I had lunch with my brother-in-law and his wife, which happens to be my beautiful little sister, and we ate at the Chinese buffet here in town, which is a really nice place to eat if you're going through. But I got a fortune that said I was a genius. It said it in so many words. It absolutely did. It said genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. So that just sealed the deal there. Does anybody else have a fortune, a Chinese fortune from a fortune cookie on your refrigerator? Because I do. I don't know what I did with that one. I kept it, but I didn't keep it very well because I don't know where it is. But I do have another one on there too, and I can't remember what it says. But you know, every once in a while, those just relate to you so well. Get this out of her face there for you. But they just relate to you so well sometimes that you just have to hang on to that one. And it's possible that I may have to begin my whining today on losing all this, because it's so pretty out here. I just want to stay. It's the weather that makes the garden pretty, whether it's a small garden or a large garden or what's in bloom. It's just that beautiful weather and having a place to go where you can be in it that makes it beautiful. I clipped this one back and used some of these for starts in another pot. And I'm not a pansy person. I don't do much with the garden at all during the winter. And these, they don't like the heat, so as soon as they get going good in the spring, it seems like they disappear. But I did put a few in. My husband took me to a Lowe's, and we just enjoyed the day as much as we could. We had a lot to do, and we were both tired and not quite with it, but we did enjoy our time there at Lowe's Garden Center. I'm going to have to start going there more. I usually just stay local when I'm so busy that I don't have time to run around and go places, but that's where I found my pansies. And what made me decide I wanted to go ahead and get some was this little girl right here, that she is representative of my niece who passed away, and she was born on St. Patrick's Day, and so this little angel was perfect for her. But the little plant that was in there, I think the snails got it. It was so pretty, it was perfect for her too, because it was actually the little shamrock plant. But this one, I decided that would be the perfect little thing to replace that with, would be those little pansies. So, and I picked a pretty blue and a pretty, well, I don't know if you'd call it a golden yellow and orange. I called it like an apricot orange color, but it was pretty. And I tidied this little plant up a bit. It still looks pretty scraggly, but I'm going to give that a little hope to still look pretty. And then I put some extra clippings of coleus in here. And I think they will do well now that it's cool, if it just doesn't get too cool for them, because they're one of the first to succumb to the cool weather. They don't like it cold. The petunias had died out of this pot, or maybe it was a alyssum that I had in here. Well, something had died out, and I put these little peppers had come up volunteer, so I put those in there. And I've got a little coleus start there that wilted down yesterday because it was still hot yesterday. But it may pick itself up if it does, if it builds a root, or I may have to replace it. We'll see. There's more of the Swedish ivy with the redhead coleus, and a Peter's Wonder coleus in there with this little bird. My husband and our friend are looking at the garden, and while we were, I had to run in and get the camera because there's birds out there that are different. I'm not sure what they are. I'm sure some of you probably will know. I don't want to go too fast and make this a big blur for you. I don't want to get out here where these birds are. So I hardly know where to begin. There's so much. I did a post recently about thinking ahead for what's ahead, but evidently it's so hard to think ahead for what you need, because in the fall, you know, the really fall weather just came yesterday. And so now I'm thinking I better get some of this stuff inside. I think next Thursday or Friday night is going to be when the temperatures dip low enough that it could kill some of my little house plants. So I think they need to be taken inside. And because I want to do a tour while they're out here, I'm going to probably call today's post my grand finale for the garden. So I'm going to try to get started with that and see how far we get and how much I can get on there. I'll begin with this new little house plant that I just purchased recently, which is called a croton, and I did get it in a pot. It was just in the little pot that I purchased it in, so it's ready to go inside. I actually needed a little bit bigger pot, but everybody, all the local merchants have already put their pots away for the season and getting out Christmas trees, which is fine by me. I love it. I'll put my tree up in October, or the end of this month. I'll probably put my tree up. That's the plan. It doesn't always work out that way, but I don't have Thanksgiving here. I have it at my sister's house, and so actually that works perfectly for me, because I'm always cooking for that and getting things ready to take to my sister's house. And when I'm making, like, I usually throw in some Christmas candies like Divinity, maybe peanut brittle, red peanut patties. I've done a lot of different ones. My sister that hosts it for us, her favorite is the coconut bonbons, and so I don't know for sure if I'll keep that up, but that's probably the plan. And when I fix those, I just love having my tree up. It just makes it so much more festive and just fun. It makes it fun, whereas if I don't have that ready and I know it's got to be done, and I've missed all my preparation time getting to enjoy it, and now it's just kind of sitting there sad and lonely. I just don't like it that way. I like it when it's up and I'm getting things prepared for my family for Christmas. So my tree is going up. Everybody else can complain about starting too soon, but not for me. I've always felt that it's just not enough time allowed for Christmas anyway, so I'm ready to begin it. I think I've even said on here before that it could start, and we'll just start at Halloween and just go right on till the end of the year celebrating Christ. And of course we want to celebrate Him at all times. Remember the Lord. But we're going back to our garden tour, and these are the things like it was a beautiful orange Gerber daisy, and I'll want to take this inside and hope and pray that I can bring it back out next year and put it back in the garden. I love this Wandering Jew. Isn't that beautiful? And I'll want to save at least some of those. Probably just put some in a glass of water and try to save it that way. But and then here's a little purple waffle plant right down here. See if I can get it a little bit better so you can see. And it has the purple underside. So this is a pretty little house plant too. I want to take that in. Let me see. And of course my begonias have to go in. So I want to be sure and get them on here. This is my Esperanza. I definitely want it in. I was hoping to let it bloom first. I still think that if the coldest weather would stay away, we could still have some of these to bloom and be pretty. This is my foxtail fern, and I love it. I just love it. It took me, I think, 3 years to get it where it would do anything at all other than live, but that's okay. I've found out if they will live for you, they will eventually flourish for you. This is my favorite. This is my pride and joy right here. This is the Polymer Prince begonia. I had one once before, I've told you, and I killed it. I gave part of it to my nephew that does well with houseplants, and he killed it. So we both decided that's probably too hard for us, but I just loved it so much that I tried again. So this is an example of trying again. Look at that. I still can't believe it, that it flourished so beautifully, and I hope to bring that in, and I hope to bring it back out next year. Keep watching and see if it's in there next year. Help me pray for it, because it's going to need some prayer, I'm sure. This beautiful black elephant ears, I love it so. I hope Joyce did this well, the one that I got for her. And I'll need to bring that in so it can come back out next year too. This, of course, is the citronella geranium, which is wonderful too. I love these little plants. I sometimes have a hard time with just the citronella, keeping it inside. Who would think? But I've had them to die out, and isn't that so beautiful? That little kind of filigree, you can see right through the leaves, and it's just such a pretty green, and just I love it. So nothing unusual, or yeah, nothing unusual, because I love them all. And this is another one of my little begonias. There's another one right there that's called Martha Stewart begonia. So all of these need to come inside. I really wanted them out here for when I have my little garden tour and have some of my friends out here, but it's not at the risk of losing them. I want to be able to save those. This is another little Dracaea, or I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but I really like these. They're tall and just beautiful. This one has grown at least 3 times the size that it was when I put it in early this spring. And forgive me, but I am going to have to whine just a little, because I cannot, it's just so hard to think of losing it all, to come out here and all this just be dead. But it will happen. I know that that's going to happen, and I've got to get prepared. So this is part of my preparation, is to show it all off right now. I think I'm going to name my little garden tour something like In Celebration of a Garden 2019, and the last hurrah, and all those wonderful things that the garden is right now in this beautiful fall season that I wish was longer, but it's been shortened, seemed like for several years now. And maybe it always was, but no, I know it wasn't always that way, because sometimes I wouldn't start bringing things in until after we celebrate Thanksgiving at my sister's house. So, but it's time to start bringing stuff in. This is the beautiful redhead coleus. A redhead coleus cannot be beat, no matter how much I love so many of the others. It's just always shiny, always beautiful, always bright, always goes with so much other stuff. It's wonderful. And then this one right here is one of the Joseph's Coat Alternanthera. It's a beautiful plant too. This is the Henna Coleus, and it's done real well too. My coleus do well here in Oklahoma, even in the terrible heat. This is a darker one. Sometimes it has beautiful pink in its veins, and it's just a real pretty coleus too. None of my well, this one is blooming in the back, but there's several vining plants that have not bloomed yet. This is actually a vining black-eyed Susan, and it hasn't bloomed here, but I think it's probably because it's more in the shade. But I think it still will. It gets enough sunlight that it will bloom if it has time to bloom. One thing I'll want to take into, and you probably can't even tell it right here, but this is a, let me see if I can get the one in this little pot that's a hanging basket pot. That is a bougainvillea, which did not bloom for me this season either, but it likes the cooler weather. Last year it bloomed for me right when the weather got cooler. So I'm probably planning on leaving these out until, oh, I don't know. Even as I say that, I'm thinking I better take some of them in, but I'll probably leave some of them until Friday, because Friday is the day that that night it's supposed to get down to in the 40s, probably 45, and that's when they begin to kill the root. So I did manage to look that up and know that information this year, and I just need to get a bunch of stuff in, even though it'll leave bare spots, and I don't think I do have enough, although I did save some little pots right out here, and I thought that was probably like, what am I even doing this for? But the Lord knows why we do things even before we do. But He knew I would need these little pots, and I'm going to add this to my list of things to do. Just go ahead and put little pots. I had little clippings. This pot is actually here because I know I need to bring it in. All the bulbs that are in this pot are non-hardy, and so they will need to be brought in for winter. And I just take the whole pot in and put it in a room and just don't do anything with it until next spring, and I'll put it back out here, and hopefully it will grow again too. But all these little pots that I had no idea what I was really going to do with them, so I just shoved them over here, and see, I had this extra little bit of coleus, and this is called Colorsaurus, and it's just been a beauty this year too. I've got it in several spots also, and it's so bright and pretty, so I totally have enjoyed it. But I will try to do these little pots next year too, and that way, as they can just sit over here most of the year, and then when I have my bare spots over on the other side here, not here but over here on this side, when I take these plants in, I will have something to put in their spot, and hopefully make it still be a little bit neat, because it will be, there'll still be a lot of beauty out here even after the house plants need to go inside, and I do want to enjoy it. And I'll probably have a bunch of them in when the tour with my friends happens. So I just want to be sure and take care of all that and still have it pretty. Once, I wish I could just leave it all out here and have the tour, and then after they leave I could take everything inside, and I would have it the way I want it in both circumstances. But I don't think that's probably going to happen, and I think that would be probably foolish of me to try to pretend it could happen. And risk losing these little plants. So I don't think I'm going to do that. I think I'm totally going to bring my houseplants in before Friday, because there's no way I would have time after my guests leave to bring all this in. I would miss something, which I probably will anyway. I usually do miss something that I didn't see or think of. But it's going to look so different. I can already tell, because once you get all these house plants and non-hardy plants in, it's going to be so much more bare than it was. So that's what this is about. I want you all to be able to see it before I take anything in, because this is the last of it with it all still in the garden. I also want to take this opportunity to tell you thank you so much for enjoying garden scrolls with me. I've totally enjoyed them, being able to bring them to you. Of course, I enjoy it anyway, but it's just so nice when you have something you enjoy to be able to share that with others. This beautiful little plant is still blooming. I thought it had given up a long time ago, but it just kind of hung on, and then when the cooler weather got here, it's just even shown even more than it was before, I believe. And this has also been a favorite because I love this wasabi coleus with this beautiful black Alternanthera purple night. I love this color of a coleus. It's just so bright. It just brings your attention to it at all times. You just walk out and that's the first thing you see before you start looking at all this other, or at least for me it is, and I think it would be for just about anybody, because it's just light and bright where these other colors are dark. But with the wasabi green in there, even that black shines, and I love the black foliage. Breaking up the colors of green is definitely a favorite for me. You know, I just finished putting some coleus clippings in this one and getting it started, so I'm so hoping that we have some time. We should have this week and next week up until Friday to enjoy the garden, but this gardener is going to have to get busy. I can't just look at the pictures and enjoy the garden. I would love to, but this is going to be my enjoying the garden, because I've got to get busy bringing stuff in. It's not worth losing it and not being able to have it again next year. Most of the mums have not even started blooming yet. I'll still be bringing those to you as they bloom, but it just won't be surrounded by all the other stuff that I have out here. Some of it, of course, will still be here, but a lot of it won't. I know I showed you these, but we're going to have some more little ones right here. These buds are beginning to put their color through. And this one right here, I think this is, I can't remember the name of it right now, but it's a beautiful yellow that literally changes color through the day. I guess the effects of the sun, or its new flower and its older flower, but it will change colors. It will be a big double beautiful bloom, if it's the one I think it is, and it may not be, but I'm hoping it is. I lost a couple of them, so I don't know for sure which colors I lost and which colors I still have. But we'll soon see on this one what color it is. I'm glad I already got my seed box emptied of the petunias and some other seeds planted in it, so that job is already done. These impatiens were the best thing I've ever found so far for my strawberry pot. I love them in there, and I will plan on doing that again next year too. I did notice that some of the ones on the bottom, and evidently not on the back side of it, that one looks like it's all there, but some of the ones, I'm going to go ahead and go around to the other side. This is the Swedish ivy that I'll take inside for myself and hopefully bring back out next year, but I might just have to get one from my sister because hers, she'll be able to keep hers. I'm almost sure of it. She does houseplants and does them well, but I'm going to go around to the front of this because I did notice that some of the lower places where I had the impatiens did not make it, so I'm thinking I may set it up higher. So I think those are probably snails, and I don't know if that will help at all or not, but I'm going to give that a try next year. I think set it on top of something so that it won't be that close to the ground, and hopefully it'll just all be a billow of beautiful impatiens. See, I had another thought there. Oh, and because you can see it even better if it's up a little higher, and I'm thinking it will be beautiful. This is Alabama Sunset Coleus, and it's growing in the pot with this beautiful copper plant, which lots of times has a brighter color. I love this color too. I do have a brighter one in the back that my friend gave me. So right now my husband is out getting some dirt because our seed box, at the end of it, it literally practically fell down. So he's got it straightened back up over there, and we're going to put dirt around it, and hopefully then I'll try to plant some plants on it too that well, they won't die through the winter, at least the root part of them won't die through the winter. So I don't know if it'll help any from now till then, but hopefully it'll keep it from erosion and keep it where the legs of it will stay stabilized and it won't fall over. We're going to have another little pink hibiscus bloom too. And my beautiful butterfly, blue butterfly bush, that's also non-hardy, so it needs to be brought inside. It will actually be fine until 45 degree temperatures, but I'll probably take it in soon. And just to have it done, it gives you a little bit of assurance that maybe you have a chance with it. But also I had tried several little clippings of it to get those rooted, and it was just too hot. And I'm going to have to try probably another one in this little pot, but this one may go ahead and put on a root, and now is probably the time to try that. Even probably today would be a good day to do that, because they would have time to get their little root started, and then I can take them inside, and hopefully they'll just finish on building their root through the winter time inside. So here we are in the backyard. So when the cold weather does take out the garden, this will be our memories of how it looked in 2019. And so much that we did this year. Got our grass growing again under our redbud tree. this building may not stay this color very much longer, and then again it may be this color next year. But we have hopes of getting around to getting it painted. Hopefully this little umbrella clothesline will be a trellis for a beautiful major wheeler honeysuckle at some point. This year we planted it, so let me take you out here, see if I can show you how far up it's came already. So this is it right here. And that's the last little bit of it for this year. So of course this was there all this year, but it'll fill it out eventually. The mums are filling out a lot more so, but there's still lots that are just now beginning to open too. So we'll have some more fall garden scenes. It's just I'm getting a little bit of anxiety because I know that my house plants will not be out here for the fall, for the last grand finale of fall, when everything else is all bright and pretty, when these little chrysanthemums show their color. The annuals won't be out here. They'll have to be inside before then, but that's okay. We have to take it as it comes in the garden as far as the weather and the effects it has on the plants. So I'm gonna try to just kind of unwind. I saw a little comic clip about a support group for Halloween, and they had the mummy all wound up in his bandages, and he said, I have to learn to unwind, and had the little witch, and she said, I fall off the broom all the time. So there were several of them, and it was cute. But I'm just going to have to learn to unwind a little bit here and just let go of some things, and just enjoy what I do have, because mercy, this is beautiful today. Beautiful weather, beautiful scenery. I've got to just enjoy. I had to change the battery, so I'm semi-starting over here for a little bit. Got on the hole there too for a minute, but that stuff just happens in the garden. Isn't this beautiful? Actually, one of my goals for next year or years to come is just to get to enjoy it more. I'm working so hard in it and so often, just all the time, that it's hard to just enjoy it other than to take the pictures and show them to you. And I do enjoy that. I just get out here, and actually I kind of like YouTube for that reason, because when I'm out here I kind of get the best of two worlds, because I get to be with you, but I also get to just be out here by myself with the Lord, enjoying the garden and nature and all the stuff that He made originally, and we're just planting seeds and keeping it going for Him. My granddaughter Lily painted this little dog for me. I love how she did it. And you may not can tell it much right now, but just putting that grass over in this pot is a really improvement for this little pot. I think it will live and do well there, and just bring your attention to it more. I got a new mum while we were at Lowe's. I had one white mum, and I don't know if it lived. I haven't seen it yet this year. I'm not sure where I had put it, and I may have even got a little start from it, and may have two of them started somewhere, but I thought that white and blue looked good together to have it here by the Russian sage. It won't be long now before we'll be needing to dig the dahlias up too. So I've got to enjoy those as much as we can also. They haven't done just real well this year. I think I'm possibly going to need to try to put some way to water it, like with soaker hose, only I know I can't do a soaker hose. I've tried that. I just have too much gyp or too much sand in the well water that we use for the garden, and there's that other copper plant that I was telling you about with the prettier, brighter colors. That I have heard that you can actually just put like every 18 inches holes in a hose, just a regular old hose, garden hose. And I may try that next year, just simply because I know that these dahlias need like consistent water, and they're not getting it here. So that might work for me. I'll just have to try it and see. Everything else so far that I've tried to get it to get a good watering system going has failed for me, so I'll just have to give it a try and see what will happen. I'll need to get me some clippings of this wasabi coleus. I definitely want some of that back in the garden. All the coleuses, I just love them all. This little the President Clematis, it was so beautiful in the spring. You just need to look back through the pictures and see how pretty it was. More chrysanthemums beginning to open. And this is some of the tall Laura phlox that has laid down, but look, it still has some pretty blooms. One of my favorite zinnias. I like all of them, but I really especially like the ones that have like two-tone in the little halo around the yellow flowered halo. It's a different tone. I kept waiting for it to rain yesterday, so I finally realized it's not going to rain. So I had to water, and I didn't get started until about 5:15, and I didn't get finished until after dark. But everything is looking great this morning. They appreciated that little drink. And we're all appreciating the cooler weather, especially that it's not cold yet. It's just pleasant, so pleasant. So I think I have a plan also for my garden little tour with my family, and of course I'm going to make one for YouTube also. But with my family, or my church family, what I'm going to try to do is go ahead and do it Tuesday, and I know that's an off day for people. Friday is always the best, because even though the weekend goes so fast, you feel for a little bit, you feel that freedom, that feeling of having some time. But I did decide that I do want to do it when the house plants are still in the garden, and I've got to get started getting them in this next week. So I think today I'll fix up some little invitations and take those to the church tomorrow, and then I will plan on doing that on Tuesday, probably in the afternoon, about 5:30 to 7:30 is what I have in mind, because it gets dark now by 8 o'clock. But that way I can have my little tour and still get everything inside. before Friday gets here, when the weather is going to go down, forecasted to go down to 45 degrees that night, and I don't want my little plants out there with their root getting killed. I want them safely inside. And also, I think I'm going to start doing my little posts on Saturday. At some point during Saturday, it may not end up being until Saturday nights, but that way it will be ready and on for Sunday, so you can take Sunday morning garden scrolls with me, and we'll enjoy the garden together. That's not to say I don't want you to be in church on Sunday, because I will be in church on Sunday, hopefully. But it'll be there for when you are ready to take a look at it on Sunday. My little green and white garden container is looking good this morning. And last night, sometime around semi-dark, I tidied up these little plants a bit, freshened them up, so they'll be ready for their little tour also, and hopefully someone will notice and think they're gorgeous. So they still need to put their little roots down, but I think it's going to be cool enough that they'll be okay. I so missed my little calabachoa that I had planned. In my mind I saw it and it was so beautiful, but it just didn't turn out that way. But I can always count on my little coleuses. This is Redhead and Colorosaurus, and I've enjoyed it this season. And then this one I just put in a few more little coleus clippings to even it out a bit. And then this one over here, I just I put in this wasabi coleus, and it already had this one little perilla in there. And then I put the beautiful bloom, it's blooming now, the Plectranthus plant. And so I think it looks great, and I'm proud of it and ready to show it off. I think it needs to have a chance to show off before it dies for the winter. It's been a wonderful garden, and I've appreciated it, even though you know, it was hot. It was hot this summer. It's always hot every summer. And then also I freshened this one up just a little bit. She already had everything that's in there in it, except for these little ones in the front, and that little yellow color just draws your attention, draws the eye to her even more. So even though there's bukus of jobs still need to be done, I've got to clean out this iris bed, but I think I'm ready to go ahead, and anybody that knows the garden can know that it's never going to be perfect at all times. So mostly what we do is just enjoy the part that is beautiful, and just I think that's what they will do too. You'll certainly see enough beauty, and it's just like the old saying, you know, you'll see the kind of people you're looking for, and you'll see the beauty or the ugliness, whichever one you're looking for. So look for the beauty, and I hope you enjoy the garden tour. Please give me a like and subscribe to the channel so you can see them each Sunday, and Sometimes they'll be there on Saturday night, hopefully every time, so that Sunday morning they'll be ready for you. I had a bit of a hard time deciding which day, since it was just going to be one day. At first I just really liked the idea of doing it whenever I felt like it, because when you feel like doing something, you do it the best, I think. But then I realized I want it on there on Sundays because it is about inspiration. A lot of it is inspiration for gardening, inspiration for just the beauty and wonder of nature, and just also for the Lord Jesus Christ and God the Father, that we might show honor and worship to Him, honor and glory.